Hi, thanks for the question. For those of you who don't know me, I used to be a pastor, and I deconstructed my faith largely because of the Bible's stance on slavery. And so for the past 4 years, I've been collecting quite a few resources. The first would be Did the Old Testament Endorse Slavery by Dr. Josh Bowen. This thing is pretty massive, but the text itself is fairly large print. Dr. Josh writes in a very accessible style. Um, this particular book, Dr. Josh goes into all the relevant passages in the Old Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, if you rather. He goes through a commentary. He also addresses a lot of apologetics, arguments, and responses to. There's also a lot of indexes where he compares the Old Testament laws to other law codes that were contemporary with it. The next resource is Slavery as a Moral Problem and Today by Dr. Jennifer Glancy. This resource is definitely more accessible in terms of length. If you want a book that will give you the information about, you know, how Christians and the early church and in the Bible dealt with slavery and skip all the academic stuff, this is the book for you. I do warn that this is written for a Christian lay audience, in that Dr. Glancy is essentially saying these are the facts. Christians definitely, were pro-slavery. So now what? And some of the conclusions that she reaches, I definitely don't agree with. She has a much more charitable look on things, which I could go into with like a full-on book review at another time. This brings us to the next resource, which is Dr. Glancy's Slavery in the Early Church. Now, this book provides a lot of the same information as this one does, but she provides much more of the academic arguments and far less confessional. And so, if you really want to dig in deep into the data, that is the book for you. The next resource I have for you is Jewish Slavery and Antiquity by Catherine Hezser. This book is another one of those fairly academic books. It's by Oxford Press. Um, and this book goes into how Jews practiced slavery after the Babylonian exile all the way up until the Roman period. This one is probably one of the least accessible where it comes to price range. I forget how I got this book and how much I paid for it, but apparently on Amazon it's upwards of $100 right now, even for the Kindle version. My next resource for you is God's Ghostwriters, Enslaved Christians and the Making of the Bible by Dr. Candida Moss. This book is fairly accessible. Dr. Moss in her book goes into the key role that enslaved people had in antiquity, particularly whenever it came to writing and reading. And she also argues fairly well, in my opinion, that enslaved people most definitely had a hand in the formation and the copying and spread of the New Testament. And finally, my last resource is Slavery in the New Testament Literary, Social, and Moral Dimensions by J. Albert Harrill. It is the book that I'm currently reading right now, and it's probably one of the least accessible whenever it comes to reading. It has a lot of technical jargon. It's certainly worth the read. This book, Dr. Harrill compares the passages in the New Testament about slavery with the literary and legal conventions of the Greco Roman world at the time. It's really a question whether the biblical authors were contradicting the social conventions of the time or if they were adopting them for their own purposes. But anyway, I hope this video helped. If you like this kind of content, if you want to see book reviews or uh, me go into other resources, please consider giving this video a like and me a follow. Um, I do plan on putting out longer form content elsewhere, which you can find in my link tree in my bio. And yeah, just thanks for listening.